have you, Alejandra.
I just remembered.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Phil Struck. I'm really pleased to be a part of the commission. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. I live up off of 179th with my wife, Monica, and daughter, Elena. And I've been involved in surface water management and natural resources for 30 some odd years, mostly as a consultant, but a brief stint as a county employee years ago. And really always had a passion for clean water and the outdoors. I like to fly fish and hike and spend time in my garden. So I'm really excited to be a part of this, and started looking at all the information that's been sent this way, and diving into the program details and kind of getting a sense of the issues and challenges that the county and the commission are up against. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
I guess that leaves
Thanks,
me.
Bill.
I'm Rudy Salacore. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, Rudy. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I'm Rudy Salacore. I've been a mostly lifelong resident of Clark County. I raised kids here. Now they're raising kids. I spent the last year and a couple months starting a new gig with Friends of the Columbia Gorge. I'm their conservation director. And the 15 years prior to that, I developed, built, and then managed a habitat restoration and conservation program for the Cowlitz Indian Tribe, and I was their interim natural resources director. So I got a long history of volunteerism. I volunteer on several boards, and I'm like a freeway. You build a new lane, and I'm just going to fill it up with cars. So I'm here to serve. Happy to be among you.
Great. Thanks, Rudy. Kate, one of our returning commissioners, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, great to meet you three. Thank you for your intros. Look forward to seeing you in February next week. My name is Kate. This is my son, Yurik. And I am a freelance consultant. I do water quality data analytics work, mostly in the Klamath Basin, but other parts of Oregon and California as well. And I grew up in Clark County. I live currently in Woodland, Washington, on the south side of the Lewis River. And yeah, so I joined the commission because I was just really interested in, I finished grad school at the University of Montana, and I moved back to Clark County, and I was really interested in getting myself involved again, sort of re-involved in what's happening in clean water in Clark County. So this is a really great way to do that. So great to meet you all.
Thanks, Kate. I don't know, what staff want to start? Devin, do you want to just start since you're in the corner there? Or?
Sure. I think I have met all of you. My name is Devin Rockford. I'm the Clean Water Division Manager for Clark County Public Works, and I'm really excited to have the chance to work with you all. And thank you to Rudy, Phil, and Alejandra for applying and accepting your appointments to the Clean Water Commission. I've been here since about August, but prior to coming to Clark County, I've worked for Washington State for just over 5 years. So originally from Michigan, very excited to be here, and I'll pass it to Eric.
All right, hi, nice to meet you all. Eric Lambert with Clark County Public Works. I'm the Clean Water Outreach Specialist, so want me to make sure we're meeting our education outreach requirements for our MPDS permit. I help to lead Stormwater Partners of Southwest Washington. I serve on a board steering committee for the Clean Rivers Coalition, which is a group of Oregon statewide, as well as Southwest Washington, and a few other endeavors. I used to work for WSU Extension. That's how I kind of cut my teeth in the stormwater world. Before that, I lived in Taiwan for about 7 years. I'm originally from New York, upstate New York.
I'm next. I'm Ron Swanson. I am currently the permit manager. I've been doing it for a while, since about 2000. And when I'm not doing that, I work with Stormwater Manual and Stormwater Planning.
Yep.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Schnabel. I manage the Stormwater Infrastructure Program and our monitoring group as well in the Clean Water Division. It's good to meet you all. I know two of you I have not met. I know I've met Rudy way back in the past and had a little chance to get to know him way back when. So it's good to see you again, sir. And looking forward to working with all of you. I've been here with the county for coming up on 26 years now, and did my education in biology like Alejandra did, and then I followed that up with some environmental science in grad school, and have been able to be here at the county doing a variety of things since. So.
Oh, actually, you already see me. I'm Alice Millward, Program Assistant for Clean Water and the Staff Liaison for the Clean Water Commission. I've been with the county for about 5 years in this position, and prior to that, I worked for Cowlitz County in primarily for about 14 years with the Superior Court judges as a judicial assistant. And I am kind of Girl Friday department, do a lot of work and running a lot, starting to take on some of the programming for some of the environmental justice aspects, and helping figure out how to do a better job of outreach with the overburdened and underrepresented populations in Clark County.
Awesome. I guess with that, should we?
I can say we did not have any public comment.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Next thing, no public comment
Okay.
as of 15 minutes ago.
All right, Devin, it looks like you, right? You're next.
Yeah, sure. So just to go
Overview, yeah.
quickly over the agenda for tonight. We have prepared a pretty expedited agenda for you, so we're going to try not to get too into the weeds, but just give you a taster of what our program does so that you can be ready for your first meeting. And then also I have one-on-one scheduled with each of you, so we can always talk a little bit deeper into things in those meetings. And always we're available to answer questions and get you up to speed over your appointment term. So we'll be starting with a little bit of background on our Clean Water Division, and then Rod is going to go into our stormwater permit requirements, which are really the foundation of the work that we do. Then we'll take a quick break, and then Jeff is going to give you an overview of our monitoring and infrastructure programs, and Eric is going to talk to you about education and outreach, and then Alice will wrap us up with some information about expectations for involvement on the Clean Water Commission and our schedule for the year. Are there any questions about the agenda or things that you were hoping we would cover?
I don't have a
Okay.
question, but I just wanted to say I'm going to hop off. I just wanted to meet everybody and say hello, but I will see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for
Bye.
joining. Bye.
See you, Kate.
Thank you.
Okay, Alice is going to be sharing the presentation, and I will do my best to keep her moving. It should be on there.
Yeah, no, they keep just giving me junk.
And if at any point you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'm happy to make it more of a conversation too. I want to make sure that we're meeting your needs throughout this presentation. So I'm going to start with the Clean Water Division background. Alice, next slide. Just confirming, can everyone see the slide? Online? Okay. All right, next slide again. So the Clean Water Division is a small but mighty division in public works. We are the smallest division, and we believe that we work very efficiently with only 18 staff, and that is a message you'll hear us say often to our council. Together, our staff are responsible for a broad variety of work ranging from the stormwater permit compliance, which you may hear us refer to as NPDES permit compliance, which stands for the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, and Rod will teach you all about that. And then we also have staff responsible for water quality monitoring, administration and budget, capital infrastructure improvements, as well as overseeing public works operations and maintenance activities for stormwater facilities. Next slide. I'm gonna shut the door. Do you mind? So as you can see by the bar on the left, there's a wide variety of work that our teams perform, ranging from private stormwater facility inspections for stormwater infrastructure on private property and within HOAs. We also work on pollution source control and complaint response. We complete stormwater capital planning and project delivery. We have a staff responsible for all the reforestation work in the county. We manage our own contracts and grants, which we are happy to talk a little bit more about later today. And we also collect over 1.3 million data points through stream monitoring efforts that really keep track of all the water quality conditions and stream health in the county, while helping us identify non-pollutant pollution issues for correction. Next slide. So in addition to our work within the Clean Water Division, I also wanted to highlight that our team has multiple service agreements with other county departments, where Clean Water pays for additional staff throughout the county to help us implement our clean water programs and meet our permit requirements. So this means that we have service agreements with Park County Roads and Operations, and they help us complete all the required maintenance and repair of facilities. This includes street sweeping and catch basin cleaning, and any other things that need to be done to help fix infrastructure as needed. We also rely on the Public Works Engineering and Construction Department. They complete all of our inspections for stormwater facilities, as well as implementing construction stormwater requirements. And we also work with our engineering department for stormwater project delivery. Furthermore, our division has an agreement with Community Development, which is a different department, and they are responsible for all of our stormwater engineering development review and permitting, and also for any code enforcement actions related to these water violations. And finally, our division works with parks to help acquire and restore legacy land, which are important stormwater capital investments for our program that help us meet our permit requirements. And we also work with parks to help complete any reforestation and vegetation management, including invasive species control. So as you can see, although we only have 18 staff, our funding that we collect for our program really helps pay for multiple other staff throughout the clean water, or throughout Clark County. Even beyond, well, all of these are within Public Works. Next slide. So all of this work is really done with one main goal in mind, which is to make sure that the county is implementing all the project programs and activities necessary to keep us in compliance with the Department of Ecology's Phase 1 Municipal Stormwater Permit. And some of you might be aware, or maybe less aware. How many of you are familiar with the stormwater permit? I just wanted to check. I know, Phil, you likely are, but Alejandro, Rudy, it's okay. I'm seeing, okay, so we have different levels of awareness, and that's okay. We're gonna learn all about it. So the Phase 1 Municipal Stormwater Permit, it is driven by the Federal Clean Water Act, and is passed through from the Environmental Protection Agency to Washington State to the county. And Rob's going to go over a lot more about what we're required to do, and also about, you know, I don't know if you'll get the good stuff about what happens when we don't do what we're required to do, but we're trying to avoid that. So next slide. I just wanted to go over some of the things that are a high priority for clean water in 2024. Just to give you a sense, we'll spend a lot of time talking about this at our next meeting as well, as the commission starts to talk about your work plan, but we have a lot going on in the Water Division. We're very busy right now. One of the things we're working on right now is our stormwater management plan for the year, which outlines everything that we're going to be doing to implement our stormwater requirements. We're also working on our required annual report, which is the information we submit to Ecology to tell them what we're doing to be in compliance. We're also currently working on an interlocal agreement with the city of Camas for long-term work in the Lacamas watershed and Lacamas Lake, which there's a lot to unpack there. We're also just issued an RFP for work in Vancouver Lake to do a suite of activities, which I'm happy to get into later if you have questions. We also today just picked up a stormwater rate study. We are hoping to increase our stormwater rates in 2024. I would say that's our highest priority at this time. We also will be beginning to work on our capital plan and beginning public involvement around our capital plan. And we are planning to put out an RFP to begin to update our stormwater manual and code, which is what drives all of the development regulations in Clark County. And then Jeff is working on a lot related to developing a new drainage asset management program. So a lot more there. Happy to get into it, and Rod and Jeff will expand a bit more, but we are also preparing for new permit requirements in ecology that we'll have to start implementing in July. We're currently trying to assess how much it's going to cost to implement those new activities, where we need staff and other resources, because there's some unique things that ecology is asking us to do that we've never done before. Next slide. I don't know if I'm going to get into all of our challenges. I don't think I have enough time. Maybe we'll zoom through them lightning speed. What are some of our challenges? I'll give you the one. We need funding for our new permit requirements. We have $219 million worth of infrastructure that we need to maintain. You can go to the next slide. Our infrastructure is aging. We have a need to develop asset management programs. We also, we don't currently have a pipe asset management program. As you may recognize this picture from earlier, just a few weeks ago. We want to make sure we're taking care of our underground infrastructure to avoid issues with public safety. We're working to manage and plan for growth. As you know, Clark County is growing, and we want to make sure that we're managing the stormwater runoff that will be generated from development. And regulations are becoming more stringent. We know water quality is degrading, salmon recovery needs are increasing, climate is changing. And we don't have any budget for lake management, but we have a council that's very interested in lake management. So we're currently trying to figure out how to pay for that, while also trying to build that capacity to bring on more people, since we are only a small team of 18. And then we have limited resources for outreach. Besides Alice, who is our commission liaison, just have Eric, and Eric does a great job, but as you know, education and outreach is so critical, and so we are hoping to continue to build our capacities for outreach to the community. I don't think I have time to get into everything, so I'm going to skip ahead, and I think at some point we can talk a bit about how we pay for all of our work. If you don't mind just going, we'll come back to that. We can unpack a lot there. Next slide. Changes coming. I did just want to mention that we just found out today from ecology, we applied for 3 grants, and we had 3 funded. So we're very excited. We're planning to move into Heritage Farm wetland restoration. In the next few years, this will be a really exciting project. It's our flagship wetland restoration project. Jeff can talk more about. Eric can also talk about his behavior change grant around reducing nutrients and pesticides. And we're also continuing to work with Clark Conservation District on Coop Smart Clark, which helps address manure from livestock and also address issues with septic systems. And we recently submitted a grant to DNR to begin our first county-wide tree canopy assessment and develop an urban forestry management plan. So all of this is new stuff. Again, reiterating why we're really focused on building our funding and staff capacity this year. And finally, I'll end here. We have a lot of RFPs right now in the hopper. I think this is about as crazy as it gets. I asked Jeff and Rod, when's the last time we had 6 new RFPs out all at once? And so right now, we're hiring services for our Vancouver Lake Management. We're seeking to develop a contract with laboratories to do monitoring, DNA monitoring. Our stormwater code and manual update is something I mentioned earlier that will really help shape the future of development in Clark County. And then in addition to our rate study, which I mentioned, we're also crafting some new creative partnerships around facility maintenance and also looking to hire some capital project engineering design services. So we're very busy, and I just wanted to give you an overview of high level, who we are, where we're at. I know that's a lot to throw at you right now, but I'd be happy to take about 1 or 2 questions and then pass it off to Rod to give you some more history. Are there any questions? There are no bad questions. Trust me, I have a lot more I could have unpacked there for you guys, and I'm trying to be mindful of our short time together.
That was a
So
lot,
if we-
and sure we'll come back to it.
If we wanted to take a deeper dive into some of that stuff, is there a couple of key documents that you'd suggest that we take a look at?
That's a good question. I can put together some follow-up information. I've also been working to develop, for each commission meeting and division report. So I have, from our last 2 commission meetings, there's a pretty comprehensive division report that you can read through that says where we're at on all of our work. So it's a nice summary. But then I'd also be able, let me work to get that, like a packet of information together for you, and then we have our one-on-one too, Bill, where we can dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, don't make it a priority by all means, just whenever it's convenient or, you know, it occurs to you, it's fine. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, I would love to pick your brain. I know you have a lot of expertise in all of these things, so we're really excited to have you on our commission.
Thanks.
All right, Rod, are you ready? Do you want to switch me spots?
I'm probably okay back here, but Devin mentioned that the NPDES permit is actually a federal permit delegated to the state of Washington Department of Ecology. And she alluded to something that I'm thinking is the possibility of a third-party lawsuit under the federal law. So if the county doesn't complete its permit activities, it's a possibility that we could get sued in federal court and we would lose. So it's something we always kind of keep in mind. And it's a good stick to wave around when you're asking for money. So I've been working with the permit for quite a while. And if you want to see the permit itself, you can Google Ecology Phase 1 permit and you can find that pretty easy. Also, another thing that you can go for is we post our stormwater management plan on our webpage, updated every year. And that's a fairly lengthy description of the program. It's not something you'd want to sit down and read. But if you want to know more about how we do development regulations or operations maintenance, that's a good place to start. Very good, thank you. So next slide, please. So the permit has 9 special conditions and several general conditions. The bulk of our program is in S5, the Stormwater Management Program. That's mainly what I'm going to talk about, and I'm also going to briefly talk about the stormwater reporting, the annual report review, and other reporting. So the first component, next slide, is legal authority to control discharges to our MS4. And MS4, it's a term that's in the Clean Water Act. It's municipal separate storm sewer system. That term is used all over the country. Every municipality has an MS4. And they say separate because it's different than a combined sewer where they're old sewer systems that have both stormwater and sewage running through them. They're still around. Our main tool for controlling discharges to our MS4 is our Water Quality Ordinance 1326A in the county code chapters. And that, putting that in place was a prerequisite for Clark County to actually obtain coverage under the Phase 1 permit. Another thing we added to it, in 2000 was a requirement that all stormwater facilities in Clark County be properly maintained to county standard. Big element of our program is mapping the MS4. That's the second component. And there's a database called Stormwater Clark that I think you can get to in the utilities map site in Clark County Maps Online. It's a little hidden, but it's there somewhere. but we're required to map the conveyance system, all the stormwater facilities that we own or that we regulate. There's probably close to 2,000 stormwater facilities in Clark County that are regulated by Clark County. We don't own them. We just require them to be properly maintained. And it's the inventory is really critical for stormwater management in Clark County. Basically, we'd say if it's not in stormwater Clark, it doesn't exist. And we use it for basically all the work that we do with the stormwater infrastructure. Next component is 3, coordination. So there's internal coordination and external coordination because the Clean Water Division doesn't do everything. We just kind of manage the program and do things like monitoring and infrastructure planning. So we have to rely on community development to do all the regulatory work under our county stormwater manual, and we rely on internal, on facilities that operates and owns lots and lots of county properties to follow the permit requirements. And we work with other divisions of public works to ensure that our stormwater facilities are properly maintained. Jeff will talk more about that. So we do have some inter-permittee coordination with other permittees in Clark County. There's 4 other permittees in Clark County. There's Battleground, Vancouver, Camas, and Washougal. So we sort of informally meet. We meet every 3 months and discuss our program, and we also communicate with each other when there's something like, say, a spill that might come from one jurisdiction into another. We had one just this week, actually, where a sewer line in Camas discharged a few hundred gallons of sewage down a road in the county into a county stormwater facility. So they got a hold of us on that, and we were able to respond to it. The 4th component is public involvement. So the Clean Water Commission is the public involvement step that we have. One of the key ones, as far as our legal obligations go, is the public process with the county council, and for some things, the planning commission, such as a code and manual update. They also approve our budget and approve the stormwater capital plan that Jeff puts together. And part of the public involvement is the stormwater management plan that I mentioned earlier. That's a requirement, not only just to describe your program for yourself, but to inform the public about your upcoming work in the program. And the 5th component is stormwater controls for new development and redevelopment. That's a really significant part of the program that is mainly relying on community development to implement, and public works, engineering, and construction to do inspections for development projects that have engineered stormwater BMPs in them. So just about any development project in Clark County will trigger the development requirements in our stormwater manual. Clark County has a stormwater manual that we update every 5 years when Ecology basically updates the permit and their manual. And there are 6 municipal stormwater manuals in Washington, phase 1 permittee manuals in Washington. Clark County's is one of them. It's approved by Ecology. So anybody in Western Washington could use the standards in our manual for their development projects if they wanted to. And so along with the design components of it, they also have the implementation through construction, making sure the BMPs are properly constructed, and during construction, making sure that erosion control BMPs are in place. In the 2019 permit, Ecology added another component called stormwater planning, and mainly it looks at the ongoing activities the county does, like are we ensuring that our low impact development code is not erecting barriers to using LID BMPs like rain gardens, that type of thing, and trying to integrate our stormwater activities into the comprehensive plan and other plans. The comp plan is probably the main one, and we're looking at trying to get more stormwater information into the comprehensive plan in the area of capital planning in particular. Then another significant thing here is in the 2019 permit, there was a requirement to do basically a stormwater plan for a developing catchment, which is an area that drains to a stream. The one that we picked was a tributary to Mill Creek up near the WSU Vancouver campus. That's an area of about almost 2.5 square miles, and there's a plan for that. It's fairly focused on the fact that there's about 400 acres that's zoned to be developed in the next 20 years, and what the stormwater hydrology effects on that creek will be. In the upcoming permit, we may go into deeper analysis in that area and identify perhaps some mitigation that we can do using our stormwater code to limit the hydrology alteration. The seventh component is stormwater structural controls. I think I'll let Jeff talk about that. Does that work, Jeff?
That works.
The eighth one is stormwater pollution controls. Source controls are basically trapping pollution or preventing it at the source. And I think for the money, it's probably the best thing that we do. We have one guy that does that all day, every day. Works with businesses to reduce pollution, basic stuff like just keeping a clean site. And there's about 600 businesses that are connected to our MS4, and those are our priority for doing source control work. And it's mainly what we do is we enforce the water quality ordinance 1326A I mentioned earlier, using technical assistance and information and outreach. Another component that sounds really important, but it doesn't really produce a lot of results on the field is the illicit discharge detection and elimination. One element of it is screening the stormwater system for non-stormwater discharges. And my joke about that is we find more non-stormwater discharges driving to the stormwater outfalls than we find looking at the outfalls. But we do it anyway because it's required. A big part of it is responding to stormwater or water quality complaints. We get, some weeks we get several of them. And that's another thing that the guy that does this work does, and the other folks. What also requires us to report spills to ecology. Operation and maintenance. Jeff, are you going to talk about that?
Yes, I will cover what's on that slide pretty much.
Okay.
Mostly. There's a couple things there.
Yeah, it's a really big element of our program. This slide is a little old. I think I've been using the same presentation for the last couple of years. So there's probably about 2,000 county facilities now, Jeff, and I'm guessing about 1,800 non-county facilities. We have 2 folks that work to inspect all of those facilities every year, and we work with our owners to ensure that they're properly maintained. Education and outreach is the 11th and final component, and I think Eric will talk about that. You can take a look at the bullets in the slide to see what the main activities are there. And then a separate requirement from S5 is special condition S9, which is reporting. So every year we do an annual report to ecology. They have a form that we fill out basically with all sorts of questions that include the number of things we did. Did we do something? Yes or no? And again, it includes numerous attachments to it. And basically what we have to do is gather the information from all the different divisions and departments that implement the permit, and then accumulate it in a format that can then be submitted to the Department of Ecology and certified by the county manager as being accurate. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Awesome, thank you, Rod. And again, that's a lot to unpack, but I guess the overarching message is that what Rod just covered, we are required to do. And Department of Ecology is the main organization to make sure we're in compliance and is communicating with us regularly and that we're reporting to. And Ecology is required to do that because of EPA. And so this is the main driver of our program, because if we don't implement these things, then there is the potential that we can be financial litigation. So we always make sure everyone on our team is working together within this framework. So all of the programs that you'll hear about today, this is the policy driver for those programs. And one of our goals is we do our best, and there are places where we can improve. And so right now we are looking for where some of our needs are and our risks are, so that we can make sure that we are building our capacity and resources to address those risks. But also moving beyond compliance, because there's a lot of other great things we can do for watershed health that we would love to do. Sometimes we're constrained and limited to making sure we meet all the regulatory requirements first. But I've been encouraging as a new division manager to encourage everyone to dream big and constantly be looking for those new opportunities, even though sometimes we're bounded by meeting our requirements, if that makes sense. Do you guys have any questions about those permit requirements or anything that you heard that was surprising to you or that you'd like to know more about in a future meeting? And if anyone, just to remind you all, you're muted, so. Phil, go ahead.
No, that was great. Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah, again, it's a lot, but we'll come back to it and comb through it.
Yeah, no questions at this moment. I just am wondering if you'll potentially be sending these PowerPoints to us after the meeting.
Yes, we definitely can do that. And just to come back to Rudy's comment, it is a lot, and I've been learning as a division manager, really it's our stormwater permit that drives all the development engineering requirements. It drives all the permitting requirements. And so as you dig in and learn more, you'll really realize how connected we are to everything. And if you're looking at, the impact of development on the landscape, there's a lot that our program has the ability to influence. And we're excited too with our manual update that we'll be embarking down that pathway in the next year or so, which is very much connected to the future of watershed. I think we have a break on our agenda right now. Do you guys need a break online, or would you like us to keep moving since it is pretty late in the evening?
I'm good. Go forward.
I'm happy to keep going.
Yeah,
Are you
same
ready,
here.
Jeff? Do you need a break?
It sounds like I'm outvoted anyway, but no, we're all good. Can you guys hear me okay if I just sit right here? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give two short presentations, one on our monitoring group and some of the major components of what we do on that part of the program. And then I'll give a second one that talks more about our infrastructure program and the elements of that. So go ahead and go to next on this. So we've got several primary projects that we work on in our monitoring group, and the monitoring group consists of myself as the supervisor and 4 permanent scientists, and then we have 1 temporary staff who's helping us out on a short-term basis to do some of our, particularly in our summer season when we have a lot of field work going on. So one of our largest projects is called the Lower Columbia Urban Streams. This is a regional monitoring project that is sanctioned by Ecology. Part of the stormwater permit requirements for monitoring, we meet those by paying in some money to a fund that Ecology runs for this particular permit program, the urban streams monitoring. The neat thing is that Ecology, we pay money into that fund in order to meet our permit requirement, and then Ecology is turning around and contracting back to us to complete the monitoring project for us and the other regional Southwest Washington permittees who all pay into this pot. So we are under contract with Ecology for a 5-year period to implement this project. And that includes habitat monitoring, invertebrate monitoring in the stream bed, some stage monitoring, continuous stage with stations set up along the streams, and then sediment monitoring. So that takes a fair amount of effort to get all that done. I think it's 17 locations that we're doing that work at. Our Wadable Streams project, that's been in place since way back when the program started in the very early 2000s. And that is an ongoing project where we have 9 permanent stations that we monitor throughout the county every single year, monthly, plus a bunch of seasonal work on invertebrates and temperature. And then there are 42 additional stations that we have on a rotating panel basis. So we visit each of those 42 stations for a 1-year period every month within a 5-year rotation. So within every 5-year period, we get to all of those stations and collect water quality, temperature, invertebrate data. We use those to specifically inform our stream health report for county streams, and I'll talk a bit about that in just a second. We have 9 hydrology stream flow gauges and 6 rain gauges throughout the county that we monitor continuously. We are heavily involved in the microbial source tracking work now that Devin kind of mentioned earlier. We're looking for a new laboratory to help us with some of this lab analysis, but we collect samples for bacterial DNA analysis to help our pollution identification and control grant and various other partners like the Department of Health. And then Rod mentioned the illicit discharge detection and elimination. So our staff there in the monitoring group are the ones who help to screen those outfall locations within our stormwater system. We do about 12% of the storm system annually. Next, please. So those are our main, those are the main projects that we have going on. That group is also involved in a number of other, oh, there you go. Yeah, they're involved in another number of other activities that we do within the program, so they kind of span into the infrastructure world as well. This I just threw in there as it's a quick map of where the wadable streams sites are within the county. I think the dark orange ones are the 9 ongoing sites, and then the 42 other orange dots or yellow dots are the rotating panel sites. You can see they're kind of spread throughout most of Clark County. And one more slide. Just a real quick kind of rundown of what we use our data for. So Rod already mentioned some of the permit reporting. So we do have permit reporting requirements for the Lower Columbia Urban Streams project and that contract that we owe to Ecology, as well as the illicit discharge information. We are updating our stream health report annually these days. We have a really cool story map that Eric was instrumental in helping us develop along with our GIS folks. He may have that as part of his presentation later, but if you do get a chance, do check that out. And I'm sure we can somehow get the address of that to you. We support state water cleanup plans, also known as TMDLs, or total maximum daily loads, that the State Department of Ecology runs. We use our data for basin and capital planning to support some of our education outreach work. We do some, we provide data for hydraulic and hydrologic models, long-term trend analysis for our streams, pollution source identification, and then of course, we do tend to share a lot of our data. So we have folks in multiple agencies, consultants, partner groups, Clark Conservation District, volunteer groups like the Lackness Watershed Council, all of whom we work closely with and provide data for some of the work that they're doing. So that is what I've got on monitoring. And again, we'll have a chance to deep dive into some of that stuff, I'm sure, as things go forward. So unless there's immediate questions, I'll just zoop right into the infrastructure slideshow.
I have a quick question.
Oh, you may. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I didn't mean to. Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you mentioned that the stream health report is done on an annual basis now. Um, you emphasize these days, so I'm just wondering if previously that was done at a different pace, and if so, why is it done annually now?
It's a miracle of technology is why it's being done more often now. We used to have, it was a big manual production with paper, paper reports, and we did it on a 10-year cycle when we first
We
started,
did one in 2004, then 2010.
and then 10, and then the next one wasn't until 2020. So we had a kind of a long hiatus there. And when we moved into the online electronic version of this reporting, now we can update that information annually because we're now able to just plug in the new year for the rotating panel sites that we did in that current year. So we do that much more frequently now, which has been kind of nice. I don't know if that was a very good explanation, but
That was great, thank you.
okay. Awesome. Sorry, Devin, you had a comment?
Oh, I was just gonna say, again, being new to this team, I'm very impressed learning about the depth of work that the monitoring group does. I just, being a state partner, I wasn't aware of everything they do and how talented they are. So we're really lucky to have these resources on staff, and also that now we have a reputation with ecology where they're contracting with us to provide these services to others. So really proud of the team and all that they do. And you'll have to meet them sometime.
Definitely. Cool. Thanks, Devin. Okay, let's leap over to the other part, and that is the Stormwater Infrastructure Program. And that I will go into a little bit of detail, not a ton, but we'll have, again, time to chat about the details in the future. There's really three main components to our infrastructure program. One is the Stormwater Capital Plan. This is basically in response to the permit element that Rod mentioned for structural stormwater controls. So we are required to have a program to implement structural stormwater controls, or capital projects, as we call them, to help protect against degradation of water quality. So, and then the second one is our mapping or asset management, asset mapping program. And the third is the inspection and maintenance component. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those three fairly briefly. So starting with the 6-year stormwater capital plan, there is a link there to our current plan if you want to take a look at the 2024 to 2029 plan that we just had adopted here in November. Our goals with the stormwater capital planning are to protect and enhance streams and wetlands, minimize stormwater impacts to receiving waters, and maximize our public benefits from county-owned lands. We do update that 6-year plan annually, and it is adopted by Clark County Council, typically in November of each year. So we just had our 24 to 29 version adopted. That version has 29 projects arrayed across a 6-year matrix. And our total expected cost on those 29 projects is a little over $13.5 million. Next slide. Actually, go back one if you would, sorry. I'll just point out the photos a little bit as we go. That's one of the components that I'll mention that we do is reforestation projects on county land primarily. So this is one we just finished up and actually had a grant for. It was a 2-year project where we planted 13 acres down along the East Fork Lewis River called the Schreiber Reforestation. That's some of our planting crew a couple years ago out there. All right, not next, sorry. So what kind of projects do we do? A variety of project types ranging from capital repairs. Typically when we have repairs in our maintenance world that are going to cost over $25,000, we roll those into our stormwater capital plan and address them as capital projects. We do a lot, and primarily this second category, retrofitting and building new facilities to fill gaps or upgrade facilities where we don't have sufficient treatment or flow control in place. basically the urbanized areas where things developed a long time ago, and we're just kind of trying to bring things up closer to current standards. We also do a few projects with underground injection control compliance. Dry wells is the terminology you're probably familiar with, so just large vertical injection wells where stormwater goes into the ground. Those are required to have certain distance of separation from groundwater, and we have a few that don't meet that, and so we're in the process of retrofitting them to raise them a little bit so they're not in that groundwater table. Don't have wet feet, as we say. We do a few stream stabilization and habitat improvement projects, again, the reforestation, and then we also, I think Devin mentioned this a little bit as well, we have the opportunity to purchase property as part of our stormwater capital program, and so we do that in conjunction with the Legacy Lands program, particularly to help them purchase properties that are high on their list. Let's go next. A couple of quick shots there of some ongoing projects. So one way that we fund, I wanted to talk just real briefly about grants. It is an important component of everything we do in clean water, but certainly the capital arena. We currently have 2 projects on our list that are funded partially by grants at about $650,000. And we have several current and future proposals out. Devin mentioned the $3.5 million, or maybe not the actual number, but we did get a $3.5 million grant. No, I'm sorry, a loan. Love it to be a grant, but a loan, which will actually be really helpful to take some pressure off of our fund balance as we build our kind of flagship project out at Heritage Farm. That money is to help build that project in the summer of 2025. Over the next several years, we've got, I think, 7 projects lined up for about $3.5 million that we'll be asking for or proposing construction dollars for. And on the right there, you can just see a quick graphic of from a 2011 to 2023, kind of the breakdown of internal clean water fund dollars versus state grants and proviso money from the state that we've used. And it's about a third of our capital dollars over that decade or longer period have been from grants. So we're pretty happy about that.
Just a quick chime in, I'm sorry to do this, about the Clean Water Fund.
Yeah.
And this is, I referred to this earlier as our rate study. So our program is unique in that we are majority funded by rates that all parcels in Clark County pay in their annual tax assessment. So next time when you get your, should be coming soon. If you are a property owner, or even if you rent and you pass through your rent, you may not be aware, there's a line item for a clean water fee that pays for our program, which is why we majority funded by that rate. So thank you for helping fund our program. We all help fund our program. Because it is the majority, that's why we're so focused right now on that rate study to help increase that fee. So that is a unique component of our program that I wanted to just call out.
Cool. All right, that's where I'm going to stop on capital programming. There's lots more there that we can talk about in detail. Second piece that I mentioned, stormwater asset inventory. So this is the Stormwater Clark database that Rod mentioned. So we have an asset mapping database. It's a GIS database called Stormwater Clark, in which we map and track all of the public and private stormwater infrastructure in the county. I checked yesterday, and there's over 175,000 mapped assets in that thing, and we are constantly adding to it. We've got about 1.5 full-time folks doing nothing but taking as-built drawings or record drawings from the development projects, the subdivisions, the multifamily housing, the private developments, shopping centers, everything that we have that gets built that has a stormwater component to it, including county road projects. They map all of those painstakingly into this database. And I think there's a little bit of a repeat of what Rod said, but that database essentially feeds all of its data into the Public Works Asset Management System. We just got a new one. It's called Cartograph. And it basically forms the backbone. All of that asset mapping data forms the background for all the inspection work we do, all the maintenance work we do, and a lot of the regulation work for the public and private stormwater facilities. So super important, critical component of what we do that's always just kind of going on in the background. It's not really out there for everybody to see all the time. So we do like to point that out. And the other thing that that same team does, they work on the Government Accounting Standards Board, or GASB, reporting. That's about a 3-month effort every year to help the county account for the value of all the stormwater assets that get donated to the county by private developers. So most of the stormwater assets that we'll talk about that we own are not built by the county. We build some. The roads program builds some under Public Works, but the vast majority of the stuff that we own that is stormwater infrastructure is donated to the county by the development community when they build subdivisions or commercial, or not commercial, but subdivisions, okay? So that's where that comes from, and part of that is keeping track of how much worth we are inheriting from those donations. So that's stormwater asset inventory. And the next slide is, I don't know how well you can see that there, but if you zoom it in when you're on your own screen, that's just a very small piece of the county that I just zoomed in on, and just to give you a sense of what that data set looks like when it's on screen. So all of those different icons and different flow paths and arrows, and they're all different stormwater assets, pieces of the stormwater system, either conveyance or treatment, flow control, all kinds of different things. So it's an incredible wealth of information of stuff that most of us don't even really notice when we're driving around. All right, we'll keep going. Okay, last topic, inspection and maintenance. So these are both very important permit requirement elements. We are required to annually inspect at least 95% of our treatment and flow control facilities every year. So we just finished that process for 2023, and the total number was 1,985 facilities that were inspected on about $120,000 budget on both last year and this year. So the thing that you notice there, though, is that each of those facilities, there's almost 2,000 facilities. All of those include many sub-assets that are all inspectable pieces of those systems and can have things wrong with them that need to be fixed, right, or maintained. So what we do with all the information from the public, it's hard to say that, from the public facility inspection work, is we roll that into the asset management system and generate tasks for public facility maintenance. And our budget for that is one of the largest line items, I think, in our budget, $2.8 million in 2024. So we do all kinds of different maintenance activities, from the routine, which is things like mowing, litter removal, sediment trap cleaning. Then a bunch of it is fixing defects that are noted in these annual inspections. So that'll be things like replacing treatment cartridges, or fixing fences, or damage to hard infrastructure, concrete damage, things like that, grading out excess sediment that's clogging up facilities, controlling vegetation that's growing up in those that's more than just a mowing job. And depending on what type of work we're doing on those maintenance activities, there's certain timelines within our permit that we need to meet. So it's either 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years, depending on what those defects are. And we manage all of that within that asset management system so that we have those tasks taken care of before we're in a permit violation situation, right? And then, as I mentioned before, if it's an expensive repair for a particular facility, then we can just kick that out to our stormwater capital plan, and we no longer have a timeline under the permit, but we do need to incorporate those into our stormwater capital plan to show Ecology that we're working towards fixing those. And then the last thing there I'll add is we do a lot of street sweeping. That's going to be an increasing burden on our program's budget in the next few years, because our new permit is increasing the requirements for the frequency of sweeping that we do under the permit. And next, I think this might be last. Public facility assets. I just wanted to just give you a sense, I guess, of kind of the scale of our MS4. There's a couple nice photos there of one of our fairly common treatment BMPs. These are underground cartridge vaults. So each of those things that looks like a big oil filter for your car is a cartridge filter that has a media in it that the water runs through and it cleans the water. The one on the bottom is what we like them to look like after we've done our maintenance. The one on the top is what they often look like. That's kind of an extreme example, but that's what they'll look like after a year or two in between cleanings. And we'll go and inspect those. And when we see a certain amount of sediment sitting on the top of those cartridges or on the bottom of the vault, that triggers us to go in and clean them with a vac truck and get them all back to normal, replace all the cartridges, that kind of thing. So you can see kind of the before and after of what maintenance will do. And so we're doing that on all kinds of stuff. We have maybe 3,000 treatment and flow control systems out in the county, ranging from these cartridge systems to biofiltration swales, the grassline swales, underground storage tanks, ponds and wetlands, bioretention, all kinds of things. And then a lot of flow control structures, upwards of 650 that are controlling and metering out the flow from ponds to keep it from running into the streams too quickly. Many thousands of catch basins that need to be inspected and cleaned every year. Many thousands of manholes that also need a little bit of examination and care once in a while. We have about 1,800 of those dry well stormwater injection systems in the county that are private or that are publicly owned. And then the last one, the stormwater pipe, we've got about 500 miles of stormwater pipe out there. And this is the one that Devin mentioned, that we don't actually have an existing program to inspect and maintain those. It's all complaint driven at this point. So we're really in nice shape with most of our assets. It's those pipe assets that are kind of a gap in the program that's never been filled. And it's one of the things we're definitely working to include in this stormwater rate study to try to start getting into a little more systematic inspection and maintenance of those resources, because they are valuable and can be kind of forgotten about since they're underground, but they're pretty important. And I think that's all I have.
That's it, Jeff?
That's it?
Did I make it in 20 minutes?
All you do?
Did I make it in 20 minutes? Yeah.
All the
A lot of words.
primarily done by 3 or 4 staff, not counting our service agreement. Within our division. So 3,
Within our division, it's 3 staff
3.
overseeing that
And
stuff.
then need for capacity, need
Yeah.
for funding. So you'll hear us talk about that a lot.
But that is also where a lot of our service agreement work comes from. So the inspection and maintenance work is all done under service agreement, and all of our project, or much of our project delivery, we do some of our own, but the capital project delivery is the one that we work a lot with the other public works departments or divisions as well. So we get a lot of support on those things, but organizing and planning all of it, yeah, it's a bunch for that few little group of people who do a great job. So.
Any questions for Jeff or comments? There's a lot of things, just because this is my new thing, I said this today. Just because it's out of sight doesn't mean it's out of mind. There's a lot of things we work on that most people don't see. Which is what makes it even more difficult to explain how important it is to our elected officials, to our public.
So Jeff, that was great. That was really informative. I think some of your last comments about the service agreements I had a question about that. So it sounds like the program is managing the inspections and maintenance, but the actual work is done by, is it like a public works pool, maintenance pool or something that you guys go have a service agreement with, and those guys kind of get an annual work plan from you and then report back? Is that?
Yep, that's
curious how
exactly
that works.
Yep, yes. We're very, very closely involved in a lot of discussion, a lot of kind of coordinating with them. But yeah, we have a service agreement we sign, and it lines out all the work that they're gonna perform for us in all those different categories. Yep. And same with the inspection.
So really your 18 people is really probably, when you count those guys, it's probably more like, 20 something or 30 even.
Oh, yeah,
So-
there's, well, they're perennially understaffed as well, but yes, I think we probably have, what, 15 folks that are on the crews that take care of some of that work, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yep.
And right now it's all handled internally, but I think we mentioned it earlier. You know, for those of you who've been following, what some other municipalities are doing, our Department of Ecology, that are encouraging these public-private partnerships or community-based, what's it called? CBP3s, community-based public-private partnerships, to contract with some private entities to help facilitate project delivery and maintenance. And so, Jeff's been working on putting together a pilot program to help with some of our bioretention maintenance, where you may need some more specialized skills related to managing vegetation. And so it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out this year.
Thank you.
Okay, can I just ask a question to our new folks? Would you guys find it helpful at some point just to get a bit of stormwater 101? I know we keep talking about flow control and water quality treatment, but just about like what the heck these things that we're building are meant to do and why? Would that be helpful? Okay, yeah,
I think we should.
I realize it might have been good to start a little further back, and we'll make sure that we're taking those setbacks. But really, everything that we're building, the goal is to slow down the rate at which water reaches the stream to help prevent erosion and flooding, or to infiltrate it into the ground or control or detain its release rate. And the second, the water quality treatment is really focused on removing suspended solids, so the sediments that enter streams and can impact, well, first they carry a lot of the pollutants, like the 6 ppdq, the tire pollutants and the heavy metals, but also that can cause issues for salmon spawning areas when you get all that fine sediment into gravel. So these stormwater facilities we're constructing, it's really to help prevent erosion, flooding, and to help keep sediment out of our rivers. So that's very high level, but the manual and all the engineering requirements really outline how and when those things need to be built. And our program is driving all of that work. So we can take a little bit of a further step back for those of you who have the watershed background, but maybe want to hear a little bit more about stormwater. Okay. Do you guys want to take a 5-minute break before we round it out with Eric, or are you guys feeling, where are we at?
Eric and Alice.
Eric and Alice, I'm sorry. This will be real short.
Okay.
And feel free, if you need a break, you can always hop off or walk away, turn off the camera if you need to.
Eric's a talker.
Eric's
But wait, there's more.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think I threw down the challenge, Eric. I don't know if you can outdo that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll talk about our education outreach requirements in our Phase 1 municipal stormwater permit. Go to the next slide. I will say, actually, Devin, you had mentioned about, talking about some of the stormwater facilities and how they function. I will say that stormwaterpartners.com, a website that we have, and where you'll find a lot of the resources I'll mention here. You can also find a lot of resources about how the stormwater facilities work. That whole project was originally conceived around educating residents about what the stormwater facilities were when regulations were in place that many people found them in their neighborhoods, and has also evolved into working into how to maintain them properly. So be sure to check out that website, stormwaterpartners.com, where you'll find a lot of the stuff I talk about in the next couple minutes, and also you can learn a lot about stormwater facilities there as well. So really the permit requires, 3 things. We have to build awareness about the methods to address and reduce stormwater impacts. We have to affect behavior change to reduce and eliminate behaviors and practices that contribute to adverse stormwater impacts. And we also have to offer stewardship opportunities that allow the community to engage in some of these different activities that help to address the impacts of stormwater runoff. go to the next slide. Stay there for just a second. On that Stormwater Partners website, you'll find this Explore Your Watershed story map, which is also where you'll find the Stream Health Report that we alluded to earlier. And that was funded by a grant. We created that a couple of years ago. Canines for Clean Water is another program that we run that you'll find there as well. What's nice about this permit is they allow us to meet these requirements individually or as a member of a regional group, and we do that. As a phase one and the only phase one permittee in Southwest Washington, we're often looked toward to kind of, take the lead on some of these things, and some of these things we do take the lead on. For example, Stormwater Partners, we partner with the cities of Camas, Washougal, Battle Ground, Vancouver, Ridgefield, who will also be a permittee, and La Center, who's not a permittee, but and the Port of Vancouver, to collaborate, try to get some consistent messaging around topics which can be helpful for public outreach and communication. Follow the Water is the Clean Rivers Coalition public awareness campaign that you can also find on stormwaterpartners.com. That again is state of Oregon as well as Southwest Washington. I'm on that steering committee, and then we work with KPTV to collaborate with a bunch of jurisdictions throughout the Portland Metro Media Shed to buy some programming and some media spots on KPTV, Fox 12 News. And you have to participate in all of these things if you're going to do it collaboratively, and we certainly do that. The education program has to be in the area served by the MS4. And it can be based on local quality water information. So we'll be targeting high priority audiences and subject areas that are relevant to the water quality information. And also we have to be basing this on the target audience's demographic. And when applicable, we need to be translating these messages into other languages, which we do on the Stormwater Partners webpage, has a translation feature, and then a number of our other resources are also translated, typically into Spanish and Russian, the two most highest second language spoken. We'll go to the next slide. So the general awareness section, for all of these different aspects of it, it's fairly prescriptive about what you need to do, while still allowing a good amount of leeway for how you want to do it. And so they have these target audiences, including general public, which really includes children and overburdened communities, businesses, including home-based and mobile. And then the subject areas around general awareness, as you can see, impacts from stormwater impervious surfaces, illicit discharges, improper disposal of waste, and also LID principles and LID BMPs. You can see we use a number of different programs in the county to do that, from going out and talking to kids with this Enviroscape to our pollution prevention assistance program, resources that we created to help folks maintain their stormwater facilities, and even Green Neighbors. And Green Neighbors is a program from public health in their solid waste division. And I always kind of joke that you don't have to work in stormwater to work for stormwater. As Rod mentioned, the regulation just requires so much coordination, and as Jeff mentioned, all the service agreements that we have, it kind of touches everything, and water connects us all for sure. We also have general awareness requirements for target audiences of engineers, contractors, developers, and land use planners. Community development helps a lot with that, because they interact with those folks on a regular basis. And the subject areas include technical standards for stormwater and erosion control plans, and same as before, LID principles and BMTs, stormwater treatment and flow controls. And we accomplish a lot of this through our stormwater manual and through different erosion enforcement aspects of the community development department. Another section, which is distinct from general awareness, is the behavior change. And this most recent permit was a little bit of a departure from previous permits, where the behavior change requirements became more prescriptive and required us to follow specifically community-based social marketing practices. And so the requirement is at least one BMP and target audience needs to be selected. And the target audiences, as you can see there, residents, landscapers, property managers, children, and businesses. And so those are a couple of different behavior change programs that we are starting to implement. What's Your Lawn Style is a product of the Clean Rivers Coalition, along with the Follow the Water campaign. They received a number of we've received a few good grants from the EPA to develop these materials. Shut the Lid, we have not implemented here, but it was developed up in the Puget Sound, and often we lay, so many jurisdictions up there, and they do such great work that we often borrow the things that they've developed up there to bring them down here, and that's one that we're considering in the next permit cycle. The BMPs that you can select from, you can see there, I won't read them all off, but it covers a number of different topics, and so again, it's somewhat prescriptive in what you have to do while allowing some flexibility about how you do it. And I think the real key is that they want to make sure, Ecology wants to make sure that, whatever you're doing is addressing something that's of local significance and importance. And so we try to do that when we select the behavior change for the most recent permit. Kind of getting into as I had mentioned, in previous permits, it was kind of like pick a behavior change program and then evaluate at the end. And now they really give you step-by-step what you have to do. So we started off, we've evaluated, we picked the Canines for Clean Water program, which is to address pet waste in this most recent permit. We had to evaluate our existing program. We had to follow the community-based social marketing practices. We had to implement, then we have to keep evaluating, and then we report on, which is the stage we're at now. And then we'll use those results to continue to direct effective methods for implementation. And this is an example of part of the campaign that we had to address pet waste along trails that border streams, where we had folks, take the Canines for Clean Water pledge to scoop it, bag it, trash it everywhere. And then we got a picture of them taking the pledge. And I'd always tell people that, we're taking your picture because neighbors are more likely to do the right thing when they know their neighbors are doing the right thing, which I think is true. And the last section of the education and outreach section of the permit is stewardship opportunities. And so we have to provide and advertise stewardship opportunities or we can partner with existing organizations to encourage residents to participate in these activities. And again, we do that. We run a student video contest through Stormwater Partners. We fund Student Watershed Monitoring Network with the City of Vancouver, which gets kids involved. We fund the Backyard Habitat Certification Program. We fund beach cleanups that are often facilitated by the Watershed Alliance. And so that coordination piece plays a big piece and something that we can really lean into to meet these requirements. So I think that's all I've got for this one. Again, I encourage you to check out the stormwaterpartners.com to see a lot of this stuff, not everything here, but a lot of this stuff. And does anyone have any questions for me now? And Rudy, I know that I remember meeting you first at one of our Stormwater Partners meetings a number of years ago, and they've evolved a bit. And so, you guys are usually welcome. We hold a Stormwater Partners Symposium each year in November. We try to bring the broader water community together to talk about what we're doing and how we can collaborate.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. See, he gets to do the fun stuff. He has all the flags. He gets to help people take, he hands out bandanas for dogs who take the Clean Water Pledge. I have a Canine for Clean Water. I encourage you guys to sign up if you have a dog and commit to picking up your pet waste. That's one of the, through the work that Jeff's group does, the microbial source tracking, dog poop is one of the most common bacteria that we find in rivers, so, which is part of the reason that we've focused on waste in the past. So, a lot of important education and outreach work to do, and really all of us play a role in doing that, and you as well as commissioners. We want to make sure that you're empowered to feel like if you're out in the community and somebody asks you a question about what they can do to help protect clean water, that you can equip them with information. Okay, we are ahead of time, which is fantastic. I know it's probably past supper for most of you. Last but not least, we have Alice to go over some of the expectations for involvement as a commissioner as well as the schedule.
Hello, everybody. I'm waiting over here. So.
Down this way.
Yeah, Jeff, maybe if you could get the mic.
Okay.
I know on the other end, it's so hard.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna make it pretty brief. With what we have, just some general expectations. Recently, we changed our bylaws, and that was one of the things that they said, "What's the one document you should read?" You know, be familiar with the bylaws. One of the general expectations, and it was one of the questions that we asked, was, you know, to make sure you attend all of the meetings and participate in them. And special events, life gets in the way. We know you can't make them to all, but if you can't, please let me know, and the chair, email me, call me, and I'll make sure that I have that information. That's one of the reasons why I also sent out all of the WebEx invites, so that if you click on it and you accept it, it'll go on to your Outlook or wherever, and you'll be able to then use that to click on and attend if for some reason something happens and you can't make it in. We have the hybrid meeting set up. Be prepared for meetings. It's been a little chaotic. Normally I have presentations sent out in PDF so you have them in case there are issues, but was not able to get everything all together in time to get them out, so it'll definitely come out. For this, will come out after. And then I generally have things out the Monday before the meetings. If I can, I'll try to get it out Thursday, Friday, but sometimes I can't, or I'll get most of it out, and then as soon as I get everything in, I'll get it to you. But a lot of our, there'll be reports, updates from Devin and Eric and myself on a regular basis, so that you can read ahead of, and we just do a highlight reel in the meeting so that you have more time in the meeting. If one of the things that recently changed this last year was that we don't have standing subcommittees anymore, and so now we have subcommittees that are started and have a limited duration for a project or whatever, and then are dissolved. And it'll be somebody has to do the not it, or who's going to be assigned to give a presentation, but it'll have something in the agenda for each of the meetings to kind of give an update of what's going on. There is in the information I sent out yesterday, I gave some basic information about the OPMA certification. You have to make sure that within the first 90 days you have that, and then you keep it current, and it's good for 4 years, so you should be good. Please check your clean water email regularly, at least weekly, is ideal, so that you know if I send something out. Also, for some of the public requests, please CC me on all of your emails for anything that's related to the Clean Water Commission, so that if somebody wanted to have a public records disclosure, they're not having to access your personal emails. Our IT department doesn't have to do that. So if I'm CC'd on everything, then, and I honestly don't really care on much of that, it just gets put down into a subfolder and deleted out, archived. So it doesn't really matter, because then, since I'm an employee, they'll be able to access it. So they'll be able to pull it up. And then if there's any forms, which there'll be several coming up that I gave this weekend, they'll be coming out next week. Please get those done in a timely fashion. One of the big things is the Open Public Meetings Act training requirements, and that is you are required to do that within the first 90 days of starting your term, which officially, I guess, confirmation was on the 16th, but we could probably say today, or even the first general business meeting. But it's not onerous at all. In that email, there's a link, and I can definitely send it out again. And it's, the blue paper, the one that has the directions on how to open it up, goes through exactly what the Attorney General's website looks like and where you need to click. You only need to do the first 3 lessons out of the 5. And then I also sent a template of the certificate of completion that you can complete, and then send that to me, print it out, and either mail it to, give it to me at a meeting, or email it to me, scan it and email it to me, and or let me know, and you can email it to me and I can send it to you in DocuSign, and you can sign it that way. So it is something that's pretty easy for that. And then some of the other aspects, I gave you some tip sheets and also some information from a number of the different websites for that. Just be generally aware. You can read it at your leisure, but the primary thing is to make sure you have those first 3 lessons completed within 90 days. So basically by the end of April, should have it finished. And then I kind of wanted to spend just a little bit with talking about the Clean Water Commission spent a little over a year working on a strategic plan with their developing a mission, vision, and their core values, as well as some long-range goals. And they did a SWOT analysis, a strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis, and then created a framework for going ahead on some of the yearly objectives and creating some work plans. And with that in mind, the mission for the Clean Water Commission is to collaborate with Clark County residents, government entities, businesses, and nonprofit organizations to enhance water quality, improve flow, and protect the ecological integrity of our watersheds. And the vision is that the Clark County with a self-sustaining and healthy watersheds that benefit the county's human communities, wildlife, and environment. And the core values are stewardship, cooperation, and transparency. And the reason why I wanted to, that really for me is the main driver for, what the commission does and how they help support what we need to do to make the vision and the mission work and support the staff and the program and give guidance and advice and where we need to go with it. And I do a lot of we, so because I feel very strongly as a part, even though I am not obviously I'm support, but since I work very closely with you all, I end up using a lot of we's in terminology for this. And this comes in where it's important is that at next week's meeting, you will be talking about what your goals are for this next year and developing the strategic planning for the yearly objectives and for the action plans, so that we can finish the annual report because one of the things for the 2023 annual report is report on 2023, but also what are the 2024 action plans that we're going to do. One of the things now that we don't have standing committees, that's one of the things we have. And so that's going to be a large bulk of the meeting next week. So be thinking about that, and we'll be sending out the agenda really soon. But be thinking about that and how you think, or if there's things that you want to tackle and to bring up. And I'm really excited to see, where you'll go with it all. So that's I think kind of the overarching values and is really important. And that is pretty much it, except for on the bylaws, because I didn't want to have you guys spend the time to I'm not going to read the whole bylaws, but the things, in with that are important, and you can go through and read everything, but is the vision and mission are brought up in the in section 3 of the bylaws, and kind of what the Clean Water Commission does in advising and assisting the division and providing input, and a lot of education and outreach and working and helping, making recommendations and things like that. And I know that there's going to be a lot with the clean water fee rate study that's going to be a huge, huge endeavor. And then there's a little bit about, the commission organization. And then I had already touched on the fact that we don't have standing work groups anymore, although I guess if you wanted to, you could.
We love the option.
Yeah, it's there.
The may.
We may. So
Not shall.
yes,
Right.
we got rid of that. So, and there was a lot that we got rid of that was just, having to keep attendance was one of those things. In the report. But, so if you decided to have them again, you could have some standing ones. Representation, I think it's very important that each member is expected to represent the opinions, needs, and interests of the entire Clark County community, and that you should become knowledgeable about the program, local stormwater issues, and or be willing to become appropriately knowledgeable and conversation about these things. So you don't have to know this right away, but you have to be willing to learn, and that was one of the key aspects of it. And to be broadly representative of, as much as we can, of the various neighborhoods, residents, watersheds, as well as things. We have a lot of different members where they are representative of, say, we've had small farmers, we've had businessmen and industry, and we've had people who have been part of governing boards, like Department of Ecology, but they actually worked down in Oregon. So we have a lot of people that represent a lot of different areas. So when we say broadly represented, we don't necessarily mean age, demographics, or race, or things like that. It's representing the whole county, and everybody that's here. And one of the things that I like to point out is it's not only the residents, but we do get a lot of visitors. So I think it's really important that as the Clark County addresses that and thinks about that. Obviously, attend the meetings and any special events that come up. Be prepared. And then there's some abstentions and conflict of interest. And it's pretty strongly written in the bylaws. We have never had an issue really of conflict of interest that when I've been here. There may potentially have been in the past. But what we've done is made sure that if we had somebody that was very knowledgeable and actually worked in the vegetation management and did a lot of plantings. And that he would say, you know, I know about what's going on here. I have more information about this. I can talk about it if you want or not. And he generally would not vote on things, or he would ask, do you want me to vote on this, or do you want me to not talk about this? And then the group would make the decision. So lead that up to you guys if you end up with something that is a conflict of interest, but it is important to let people know that that's there. There are a number of social, I'm not going to go through it, but you can go on the Clark County website to the Human Resources and just look at some of the county policies about diversity, nepotism, and social media. We had to do the nepotism because we actually had a husband-wife team on as commissioners at one time, so we had to address that. And that's primarily the main things that I wanted to highlight with the bylaws. And with that, I know I rushed through things, but I sent out a lot of emails on a lot of information that I want you to be able to take the time to read and to absorb, and feel free to ask any of the staff or Matt questions, and we'll be happy to help and answer any questions that you have. Anything that I've covered that you have questions or concerns or comments about?
Alice, I just have a quick comment that I wanted to add. I think when in doubt, just ask. And if you think there's any chance for conflict, it's okay. There's ways we can work around it as long as you are honest and you disclose it early. So please, if you think there is that conflict, just let us know sooner than later so we can avoid it and work around it. I will also say, since you are, I know you'll be taking the OPMA requirements, you are government, you are appointed, and so you are now officially considered an appointed official. I would just use caution in your emails and know that they're all public records, and please only use your commissioner emails for commissioner business. That way you can avoid any and protect your own personal email accounts and phone. I would encourage you also to be mindful if there's a quorum, meaning that there are more than 4 of you meeting, it is a public meeting. So we would encourage you, if you do want to meet with a majority of members, that you work with us to make sure that we're following those open meeting requirements. Otherwise, if it's just 2 of you meeting for coffee, I believe that's allowable. But when in doubt, always ask so that we make sure that we can help you and keep us compliant with the OPMA requirements. I would also say, you know, our goal is to really increase the amount of information and back and forth with all commissioners so that you feel like you are in the know on what we are doing ahead of things going to council. So we really do want your input and your advice and endorsement on the things that we're working on, because the Clean Water Commission, you are a 9-member volunteer board, and your role is to help advise the Clark County Council on matters related to our division. And so it's really important to us that you understand that role, and that if you have any questions about the appropriate, you know, how to communicate with our division or with other departments or with the council, I'm sure there'll be lots of discussion about that in the new year. And also just wanted to reiterate, you are a Clean Water Commissioner, and while you are providing input and advice to our division and recommendations to our council, that does not mean you are a Clean Water Division staff. And so we just want to make it very clear that when you're self-identifying yourself out in the community, you are a volunteer, you are a commissioner, you provide recommendations to our council, and you provide input on our division, but just being very clear that you're not a county employee. You are an appointed official. So if you ever have any questions about that, and where there are certain boundaries, we're happy to help you with that. But we also are really excited to learn more about how all of you are connected in the community and to invite you to join our work sessions with council. There'll be a lot of things happening. So we want to make sure that we're looping in the commission appropriately ahead of any big council milestones, so that we're adequately incorporating your input. Did I cover it? Do you guys have any questions about that? Any concerns? Is anyone, are you guys feeling excited? It's going to be a wild 3 years.
I thought we were gonna have more, veteran, commissioners here, so we'd have more of the round table and stuff too.
Yeah, that's great. A lot there to take in and a lot to look forward to.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to have you all, and we welcome you to join us in person if you're able. And if you're not, then this hybrid approach works. But the next meeting will be establishing your work plan for 2024. So if you're able to join us in person, that would be fantastic. But if not, then hopefully we'll see you in person in April.
So kind of a housekeeping question, if you don't mind, about the meeting next week there. I haven't been, I'm not sure exactly where to go, and it's down, it's at the same room you're in right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, can you make sure the address is on the meeting invite and the
It is.
room? Okay.
Okay, so the building will be open and just come in, you know, there won't be any
Yeah.
special access considerations or anything like that.
There should not be, and we can make sure for the first meeting that someone is down in the lobby to greet you. If it's
Okay.
not me, then your security is able to help you get upstairs. We are on the 6th floor,
Okay.
in the back of the building.
And I put up signs that once you get up to 6th floor,
Just keep walking.
you just keep walking down to the manager's office, and then
Hallway.
we are in the very, very far southwestern corner of this building on the 6th
Okay.
floor, back behind everything. So, but I do have directional signs that I put up. So if you get down close to the council's office, county manager's office, there's signs there, so that have arrows pointing the way.
And we
Perfect.
hope at some time we can invite our public works leadership to come introduce themselves, give a chance to meet them, as well as maybe someday we'll get a counselor or two to pop in. So you'll have a chance to meet and greet with them. Also, if we have not already, we'll make sure we send out some parking information for you.
It's after 5 o'clock, it's free, and they can be in the, in the visitor area.
Okay.
But 6 on the street. Right? But 6 o'clock on the street.
It's 6 on the street, but
Just
it's,
for clarification. Yeah.
yeah, but in the visitor part of the parking lot, it's after 5 o'clock, it's free. And if you feel like you need an escort out after the meeting, security will do an escort out.
Awesome.
I am so
Thank you.
excited to meet you all and happy to have our one-on-ones too. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about in those one-on-ones, but really the goal is just to help get you up to speed and prepared for that first meeting, and give you some more history and background on what we're doing in the Clean Water Division. So lots of work to do, and I can't wait to learn from all of you. I think you bring a really unique background, from Phil's expertise in stormwater to Rudy's expertise in conservation and salmon recovery, and Alejandra, your expertise working across the river on environmental topics, and for learning more about what you know from how Metro does business. We're always interested in that cross-jurisdictional, cross-organizational learning. So thank you. Matt, do you have anything you want to say, Chair?
No, just The only thing I guess yes, because I am talking. The only thing I will add is just to welcome, and I'm really looking forward to working with you all this year. As Devin said, our next meeting will definitely be a very meaty meeting, in that we are going to be establishing our work plan for the rest of the year. So it'll be exciting. Now, we've got a good group of people. So I want to thank you for taking the time this evening. I know it's probably been a long day for all of you. I want to thank the staff for also having a long day and staying here late. So thank you, appreciate it. I know you'd probably rather be doing other things, like eating dinner and stuff like that. So thanks. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Welcome to your first Clark County appointment. We hope that you'll stick around.
Yeah.
You get to learn a lot of stuff about the county. Buckle
Yeah,
up.
indeed.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.
Good evening.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.